Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com.
Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. I am your host, Mr. Brian Pierce. Luckily, we have sexy Mr. Caleb Ramsay with 2 A's on the couch with us tonight. Hi.
Hey, you spelled my name right, man.
2
That
A's.
means a lot, dude. It does.
You have no idea. I spell it wrong every time and then go, nope, A. Of course, this is Seat Time. We are the online show for the off-road enthusiasts, so thank you very much for tuning in live this Tuesday evening. It is episode 195. We are brought to you by the fine folks over at Fly Racing, flyracing.com, Kenda Tire USA, kendatire.com, and then, of course, SRT Off-Road at SRToffroad.com. Luckily, they make it easy for me, folks. It's not that hard.
Man. You should be a salesman.
Screw that up. I need to become an auctioneer. But of course, so thank you very much for tuning in. We do have a chat room, tlk.io/seattime. Get in there, talk to our fine folks, and of course, ask Caleb Ramsay why he's so much faster than me. I think we know the answer, but it's fun to talk about anyway.
All right.
Of course, you can find us on the site, seattime.co. If you want to watch us, subscribe to us on YouTube. Or, if you want audio only, Stitcher and iTunes are great ways to do that. Why am I talking so fast? Well, we've got Mr. Cody Webb on the show tonight, and he, of course, is on Pit Pass as well. So, luckily enough, we got to him first. I don't know, that feels like I'm in college, and I was like, hey, man, I was with so-and-so last night. He was like, yeah, but I got her first. It's like, do you really? I mean,
we interviewed Cody first.
So, you know, it's like, sorry, I just wiped off there. That's okay, good, you can have her.
Sure.
Of course. Most important thing, please support Seat Time. We do have t-shirts for sale right now, seattime.co/skeleton, and we will talk about it much more later on. All right, let's do this. Mr. Cody Webb, coming in hot. This is your third King of the Mountain win at King of the Hammers. You're a badass. Holy shit. How's your evening going, kind sir?
My evening's going awesome, especially now that we're here on Seat Time.
Right, good man.
Good answer. Good answer.
Right? That's the way to do it. So,
I've
dude,
been practicing that all day.
You're like, oh shit, yeah, because Steven was like, well, what'd you get him on the show like an hour ago? I was like, no, it was like 4. Right? I mean, that's pretty good. I did
had him booked up for a while.
No, you know, I try to make sure it happens. I think it was actually yesterday we talked about it, but still, shut up, Steven. Mr. Cody Webb, you are starting to become a little bit much more of a household name. A little bit much more. I'm going to work on that. You're pretty much a badass. So this year, you made a switch to a factory team. No, not factory. To a factory team, to the KTM factory off-road team. You're wearing the Troy Lee gear that everybody's wearing. You're looking all sexy, which is really funny because there's some pictures of you in that Thor gear from that one early on race at the SuperEnduro. But holy shit, so you've done really well there. Got the points lead. You just won King of the Motos. Where's your head at?
I don't know. My head's kind of up in the clouds right now. It's just feeling good about it all and confident and just kind of keep rolling through and progressing forward. You know, I'm really happy with the new team. And, you know, when things are going your way, they really go your way. And I'd like to keep that happening.
Oh, I agree. So from the outside looking in as a professional racer, well, as a professional wannabe professional,
the proper term's amateur professional. Man.
Amateur
on,
professional.
Get it straight.
It's like, I got sponsors, bro. Well, I mean, what do you think about all this? I mean, because the thing is we've seen Cody Webb kind of, you know, make his way up the ranks, do really good at beta, then starts the KTM, and now factory. But it's just like, when does it end?
Right.
Or is there an end? I don't want there to be an end.
Well, I mean, you know, everybody in the community kind of knows, Cody, that, you know, you're making your way up kind of like a Johnny Walker, you know, or Graham Jarvis. You're making your way up, and you know, I mean, I don't know, like, my only question for you is, like, is it enough, like, have you been to Europe much? You mainly ride in North America. Like, is there any Super Enduros, any Erzberg, you know, on your list to do? Or, you know, what are your plans is kind of my question.
Yeah, so, you know, last year was kind of all last minute, and I raced the Super Enduro Series. And it's not quite as popular as everyone here in the States. You know, I started out really rough and really got swinging there and ended up second in that championship at the last round. But, you know, it seems to be getting a lot more popularity this year, especially with Red Bull back in the series. And
absolutely,
you know, whenever Red Bull gets in with something, it really kind of boosts it and makes it blow up pretty big. So that's getting pretty big right now, and I'm leading that series, luckily, and I want to keep it going. I don't have much of a lead over Walker, but I'll consider it a lead, 2 points. And this year I got Erzberg on the agenda, hopefully
Good.
Romania. So I'm excited about that. I went 2 years ago, and I had a really solid finish, but it's they kind of bleed orange there a little bit. So it's definitely an advantage to be on the KTM squad, and my squad goals are on point now this year, and I'm looking forward to redeem myself.
Speaking of the Red Bull thing, I did hear a little bit of a rumor last year at the TKO that Red Bull might possibly be coming in as a title sponsor of that event. I haven't seen anything yet, but you're a Red Bull athlete. As you mentioned, Red Bull coming in, all that kinds of stuff. In the grapevine, have you heard that to be true or that to come to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us have kind of seen it a little bit come into play. Red Bull sent their media house last year to try and get some information and background research and a little bit of filming, and I think they're working towards stepping up their support, I guess, for the TKO this year. And it's a pretty big event, honestly. We just had King of Motos, which is a big extreme event, and TKO is the only other really big one in the States. On the East Coast, and I think there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters this year, especially with Red Bull coming on board a little bit more. So, I'm really excited about that. It's going to be really tough competition. It'll be hard to get the W again, but, I'm really excited to see the sport kind of keep growing like that so quickly.
I like it. Well, there's a perfect chance to switch gears because we're just kind of bouncing all over the place. Mentioning King of the Motos, let's talk through a little bit of the format because, as we said, we had Ricky Brayback on last week, and we got a chance to talk about his National Hare and Hound win. Now, one of the things that's really tough for us here, being in the middle of Texas, is to follow all the stuff that goes on the extreme coast extremely well. So the GNCC does a great job with their press releases, all that kinds of stuff, but things like King of the Motos, National Hare and Hound, they're not as great. So, if I've got it correctly, there's an AM race that sportsmen do, then you guys start 10 minutes after with a little bit of a 3-mile loop added to it, and then after that, then you guys go out and do a bunch of laps, and as people get lapped, then they're removed from the course, and then after X amount of time is when they throw the checkered. Fix that wherever that's wrong.
You pretty much nailed everything on the head.
Okay.
The sportsmen, they start 10 minutes earlier, and they definitely did that on purpose because they knew we were going to catch up to all the bottlenecks, and that was definitely pretty crazy. I think Taylor and I caught up to them. We were together at the time. We passed like 30 people probably in the same canyon. They were like ants almost. And
did you use anybody for traction?
I did not. I was pretty nice for the most part.
Good man.
But the morning loop was kind of more about figuring out the GPS, and it really kind of just determined your start order. And if you didn't get a good start in that afternoon race, it would have been a big headache trying to get through all the mass of people on that first hill. So, the morning wasn't crucial part of the race. It was kind of helpful figuring the GPS out. That's actually a difficult part. Trail tech, is a big part of that race, and everyone kind of gets a deal on using their GPS units. And if you've never used it before, it's pretty tricky. Like the little arrow only really determines where you're going when you're moving. So whenever you get lost, you come to a stop, but you actually don't know where you're actually heading because the arrows, you need to keep moving to see if you're going the right direction or not. So it was really tricky. And that the first lap of the afternoon extreme race was really kind of like us in the peloton waiting to strike because anytime anyone got ahead, they'd miss a turn and get lost. And then you're right back in the pack again.
Explain a little bit more about how the GPS works as a race. Now, is it you're specifically following this GPS unit? You do not have any trail markings?
So it's being out in the California desert. There's 4 trees out there, and they're not even trees. They're more like a cactus. So it's pretty hard to, keep people on a fine line and whatnot. So there's a pre-ridden course that a lot of it's only has 1 trail mark, and that was just from Jimmy Lewis.
Jimmy Lewis, yep.
So, a lot of stuff you have no idea where you're really going, and it makes it difficult. And you just follow a track, and Taylor and I each had 2 GPSs. So one was as if you're looking from a really high bird's eye view, and then the other levels zoomed in, so you can look at 2 different maps and gauge where you were on course. And they had very, very few markings out there. It was just kind of a reminder, you're in the right direction. There's nothing to keep you on track. So the GPS part it was a really big factor that first lap, but after I think almost 100 riders were in the race, so we caught up to lappers pretty quick that second lap, but still, there's enough people who went through, and you can kind of figure out your line a little bit by the second lap.
Right. Now,
wow.
Like they do in rally in those situations where you've got essentially a GPS heading to follow, that heading is given to you in the nav book, in your book, in your road book. Now, in this case, though, you're following a track that's programmed into the GPS, right? You don't have something that maybe like a route chart that would tell you, at X amount of turn miles in, you're going to be following this heading, so then you could follow this heading on a GPS thing as well as follow the GPS tracks. You're just following GPS tracks?
Yeah, just the GPS track. It's the thing about, races like Dakar, you're so far out in the desert, you're going I don't know how many miles to go each day, but it's crazy. And they're traveling a huge amount of distance. And for us, if we did something like that, it would be too hard to follow because the track makes too many turns and stuff. So, you can't tell elevation or anything. You just follow the track, and it's definitely tricky, but you got to take your time and not push. And a lot of times whenever someone was out up front, next thing you know, they're missing a corner, and they went from, there was 5 of us kind of freight train in that first lap. And if you missed whoever was leading is like, oh, you're back in 5th for a little bit. And then it was kind of like everyone's staggering, falling off the front whenever they miss a turn, and someone else takes advantage of it.
Love it. Have you ever had a chance to do any kind of events on a motorcycle where navigation comes into play as well with speed?
Enduro, but that's nothing compared to something like that.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And granted, I haven't even done the situation where maybe you're just following the GPS track and maybe a slightly prid-ridden. Like the rally shit's awesome, but it's even a whole nother level of batshit crazy in there. So question from the chat room: what type of tire did you choose for King of the Mountain, and why?
So I ran the 756 that Dunlop makes that you can actually buy now. I think you can only buy them at Endurocross races or something, but it's like a...
Did you say 756?
Yeah, it's a gummy tire. So they actually sell them. They're not cheap because they're factory spec. And, they work really well for that extreme stuff, but, that's pretty much all they're meant for. And usually they're more made for slick conditions. So the desert and all the really grippy rocks really tears them up. But the amount of traction you can get on those is pretty much cheating compared to running a stock tire.
Yeah, because those rocks are really porous as well, right? They're out there in the desert. So, they would, you grab onto them with those gummy tires.
Yeah, it's really gritty.
And then this one gets a little weird. He wants to know, are your sisters single?
I don't know, really. One of them's kind of dating someone, I think. All I'm going to say is best of luck to you.
I like how it wasn't like ew, no, let's not talk about that. It was like, oh, well, let's be honest. There's a life for these people, and they may not enjoy the fact that I'm talking about it on the internet, but hey.
Well, in Texas, those are fighting words.
Just don't let them beat you, because you'll never hear the end of it.
Oh,
I can only imagine. Yeah, and speaking of, they were the sisters. The reason why it's kind of a come out of the closet, if you will, is that they were just on Dirt Buzz. So Dale Spangler over at Dirt Buzz did a nice little piece on them.
Oh, they all rail?
Yeah.
Very nice.
They've done Endurocross a couple times and kicked some booty. But while we've got you for a couple more minutes, let's talk about the Super Enduro. So that's going, I think, better than some people planned, and then to expectations for others. I think the biggest kind of what could have been a weird variable in there is the fact of the switch to the factory team. Obviously, gear doesn't make a big difference there, but the fact that you're now on a factory bike, you're riding the 250 instead of the 300 that you had been on. So, how did you get ready for Super Enduro, and do you get to go over there earlier because you've learned that you need more sleep, you need less food poisoning, all of those things?
Yeah, I learned a lot last year, and I made the switch to the 250F, but I made that decision pretty early. Well, it wasn't early, but maybe around August or September of last year, I was able to get down and do some testing on the bike. So, I had an idea, and I felt fast on the bike, but I wanted to remain on the two-stroke for the whole rest of the 15 seasons. That's what I was most comfortable on. So I had a little head start compared to what most people think about being on the new bike. But I really expected myself to be near the front, but those guys are so strong, and it's funny to see all the stuff on the internet and see the people, the keyboard warriors, writing stuff, how Johnny Walker's the king of the world and how I'll never beat him, and how Americans suck at off-road. And 3 of the top 5 of us, like, we're top 5 in the series, and we've won. I think Americans have won almost all the motos. So
Yeah,
I think
because it's
that's
like you, then Johnny Walker, then Colton, right? Like that's
Colton,
the point.
yeah.
The points work out. Yeah.
And even Taylor's been there, right there, a couple times and leading here and there. So, I think the Americans seem to be picking up their knack for endurocross and super enduro lately.
Why is it that super enduro might have been something that was a little difficult for you guys to be as dominant at as you kind of are over here in the States? Is there a big difference? Is there something you got to figure out, or is it just you're in Europe and it's not America?
It's the tracks there. I mean, an endurocross track, you can argue it's an endurocross track, but endurocross, super enduro, the track prep has been really kind of poor in the past at super enduro, and they've done a really bad job of keeping the tracks maintained. And in the endurocross, every race it's Schaefer tracks, and it's like perfectly groomed and cherry dirt, and it's really consistent. And over there, it's been really kind of crappy, to be honest. And this year, they have like a new track guide building all the tracks, and it's kind of been actually pretty consistent, and the tracks have been good and holding up good, and it's been making the racing a little bit easier.
So we're a bunch of babies and can't handle change.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, I like it.
But if you look at, guys in the MXGPs, like, they never prep the tracks, I don't think, the whole time, and the tracks even the motocross tracks are different there than here.
Yeah. Well, I know it's getting close to that time for us to let you go. So before we do, what's coming up? What other big, good, awesome snippets do you have for us?
Well, I go to Argentina in a couple weeks for the next round of Super Enduro, so I'll be down in South America for Argentina and Brazil, and then I think a couple weeks off, and then going to finish out the Super Enduro Series. So hopefully I can get that championship, keep moving forward, and then I think Erzberg's the next big one on the list after that. So I got my hands full in between Super Enduro and extreme stuff, but I'm looking forward to it all, and I'll be graduated, so I'll actually have the time to actually be training. Right now, I just kind of hang out, drink Sekis, loggers, like.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. No, I've been riding and training hard, so. But I'm looking forward to be graduated and, doing what I love and riding a lot more and being more prepared.
Right on, dude. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. I'm sorry that it had to be so quick, but we appreciate you definitely kind of taking the time to make it work and chatting with us. Good luck in in Argentina. Have fun traveling, I guess. Get there early. Don't get food poisoning. You know what? Don't drink the water. Is that the saying anywhere south of here?
Yeah, now they got the Zika virus, so don't have babies too, because there's like that.
You could get it from semen, so watch
bite.
out. Mosquito bites and semen, apparently.
Whoa.
Yep, I know that's effed up, but it was on The Verge today. I read an article. I promise science.
This escalated quickly.
Yeah, as it should. This is the internet we're talking to here. This isn't like your mom's dictionary that she would read. I don't know. That's dumb.
Dude, come on,
all right,
man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cody Webb. We appreciate you coming on the show, and have fun on Pit Pass. You tell Tony we said hi.
Alrighty.
Later, man. I love it. Yeah, no, it's like you said, you've maybe had 1 or 2 chances to hang out with Cody Webb in the past when you signed up with the National Enduro. The dude is really awesome. He's super down to earth, a lot of fun to be around. His dad and his mom, like his whole family, the sisters we're talking about.
I don't know they rail. That's cool.
Super cool, man. They're super cool. And what's funny is we actually had the sisters on sometime late last year, and with that, like, it was because they had just done their first Endurocross. And they'd always ridden. You know what I mean? Like, with the way that their father and Cody have always ridden together, a family like that, they kind of just ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it wasn't until at some point in time, obviously, when Cody started doing a lot better, that they were kind of like, well, hey, Dad, show us some stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that's when they took it upon themselves to kind of, like, it was their own idea between themselves to go do an Endurocross. Like, get in the women's class and do it. And now they've actually done a couple, so... That's more than I want to do. I've done a couple, and I don't want to do them anymore.
Yeah, I did. I've done one, and just so much arm pump. So much. I don't understand how
you can't hold your beer
it's
afterwards,
crazy.
like because it's like, and you don't even want to drink beer because that's too heavy. You want like an IV of vodka.
Put Camelback in your mouth and just not move.
I like that idea.
So what's next on the agenda?
On the show notes,
What are we
I like
talking
it,
about
man. Look at
next?
this guy. He's together.
Punctual.
He's making this
I
shit
got a
happen.
desk job now.
All right, so we did kind of cut through it a little bit quickly, but I did want to say thank you again to our supporters. So if you think that Seat Time is awesome, definitely please, when you're at your local dealer or surfing the web, Fly Racing, of course, check those guys out. Great gear, all kinds of fun stuff. Any of the Riding with Woody episodes or tips of the trail that we are going to be putting out later this year. Check out Fly Racing, what they've got going on at flyracing.com. Of course, Kenda Tire USA at kendatire.com. We were talking about some of the Dunlop tires, where a lot of that kind of spawned from is the fact that Kenda started putting these kind of hybrid tires out. Now, Dunlop and some of the other factory guys were playing around with those crazy, like, super oily, geggy,
You said
gummy
756, and like I don't know if I'm just a little.
Well, what they
behind,
did
but-
is once they got their compound correct, then they didn't know which casing they wanted to use, so then they played around with that, and that's when they modeled it off the 756.
That's crazy.
casing.
Like I haven't heard.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, because they stopped making it, right? But
Hey.
what they did is they took that was the best mold, for
Well, that
an
makes
off-road
sense, kind of
endurocross tire, and so they took the gummy compound that they molded and put it in the old 756 molds.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
they're like
man.
$200 a pop.
Dude.
So what you do is you
Did
go to
not know that.
kendatire.com, or you go to your local dealer and ask for Kenda Tire, and with that you can get the Equilibrium or their gummy hybrid and spend way less and have honestly just as comparable of a tire. I've run them all over the place at TKO in Colorado. Are you going to ride Seat Time Adventures with us this year?
I don't know. I'm gonna be up there, but I don't know. Probably at the same time.
Sounds ridiculous.
Sounds ridiculous. Hey man, we got
gonna
a family vacation
He's
planned,
going to be hanging
dude.
out with cooler chicks than me.
Chick. Singular.
Somebody else might have chicks.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like
yeah.
multiples, not just you. Not whatever.
So yeah, what's
And then,
next?
of course,
Yeah.
SRT off-road. So the good stuff is we're talking about all this Endurocross,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about all this nasty, gnarly Extreme Enduro. You got to protect your bike when you do this kind of stuff. So if you
Radiator
ever thought,
guards,
radiator guards,
pipe
skid
guards.
plates, all that kinds of stuff. Chain guard. Holy crap, I totally trashed mine at Barnwell going riding. So I'm going to be calling SRT. Getting me some parts up in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I need to say something. Nope, just need to burp.
Yep,
Just need to
yep,
burp. So
yep.
as we kind of work our way through the show a little bit, we definitely want to talk a little bit about some of the recent buzz that has been going on in the industry. So luckily, our good friends over at Dirt Buzz, Mr. Dale Splangler, has got his Monday buzz that he puts out at Dirt Buzz, and it's so much fun. So with that, let's get into this stuff. So obviously we had King of the Mountain, and with that we saw Cody Webb win. Like, and he did a
Moto.
what did I say?
Moto.
You said King of the Mountain.
Do I really?
Yes. That's
Like
twice.
over and over again.
That's why
right?
it keeps throwing. Yeah, it
Twice
keeps
now.
throwing me off.
Moto.
Moto. King of the Motos.
Because it's not really a mountain. It's got hills.
There's
but
multiple
It's not really like a mountain.
It's like a
It's in the
rock field.
Yeah, that's
it's a
my
boulder. It's a
understanding.
nasty boulder thing.
It's like low deserts. Yeah,
Low
or high
desert.
desert. I don't know. Right.
But so he won King of the Motos. And then second place, Taylor Robert. Third place, Colton Haker. Now, we hadn't seen Taylor Robert win KOM, but we have seen Colton Haker. He won last year. He's running the number one plate this year.
Yep.
And Cody Webb was over at Super Enduro last year. So it's like safe to say, you can be like, but there's no, in racing. So you got to, the people who showed up the race, and that's the one who won. So there it is.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned how
Right.
awesome Robbie Bell looked in his picture.
Yeah, just
right?
like scrolling, doing
Do we
the
have that picture,
doing,
Steven? Oh, there it is.
doing
I
the
like it.
morning scroll, and I was like, all right, an off-road rider getting down, cool, like it, very nice.
And that was at Works this past weekend, round 2. So Robbie Bell did get the win there. Dalton Shirley came in second, and Colton Udall in third. I tried to get a chance to snag the video beforehand so we could watch it in the show, but I have to mention at least Justin Jones. Holy crap! Yeah, did you see his wreck?
I didn't.
Oh, yeah, okay, so go back and look around, especially you just go to Justin Jones on Instagram and find it, and he comes around the inside wide open on Robbie Bell to get the lead, jumps off this little drop-down kind of roller thing, lands in a hole. and it just hook, and he just like eats shit. It just
Ejectocito.
He slides maybe 75 to 100 yards, like just totally like
Too fast.
just
Too
getting
fast.
road rash like a mother. So good job, guys. Have fun out there. Justin Jones, hopefully you're okay. We saw Cetra, the burnt gin hair scramble. This is kind of that event we always see on the East Coast right before either the National Enduros pick up or the GNCC. It seems we've gotten the GNCCs a little bit later and the National Enduros a little bit earlier. So this year it's before the National Enduro, and that seems to be more common as of late. But Grant Baylor got the win there, number 314 on his Yamaha.
He's up and coming good,
Yeah,
man.
dude, his YZFX. It's cool to see that the Yamaha team, the off-road team, all of them are racing the FX models now that they're all out.
They're
So
nice.
the
Well, I mean,
off-road
that
team is
makes
actually
sense,
racing
you know?
off-road motorcycles
Yeah.
now. And then Jesse Grome in second on his Beta, and Russell Bobbitt in third on his KTM. Good to see Russell Bobbitt up to speed. He was kind of recuperating from an injury last year with his back and stuff like that. Jesse Grome, I think, as well, late last year had an injury too. So good to see
I haven't
those guys
heard
back
much
up to
from
speed.
him lately. That's good.
I know. Seca. I saw in Mississippi, Cliff Owsley, Tanner McCoy, and Cole Reese. This was so down in Mississippi. I'm not too sure, honestly. I grew up in Louisiana, so you'd think I'd know about one of these series, but I don't. So I'm gonna go with Southern Cross Country Association, Southern Enduro Cross.
Seca. I ran into a bunch of those dudes
So, like,
whenever
Sarah
we did
used to be down there,
the
but Sarah didn't.
Perry Mountain. That's like what most of those dudes down there ride.
So I guess the LACC, which is the Louisiana Cross Country, maybe there's a
Yeah, that's
Seca.
I think it's Mississippi, but I think like Alabama,
Right.
a lot of, kind of all race that.
I know it used to be Sarah. Well, this was New Orleans, but, whatever.
Oh, back in the day.
Back in the day. And then, of course, we saw some cool stuff with Fly Racing, where Honda announced their full off-road team, and the whole team sponsored by Fly, so good for them for getting that going on. We saw Kenda Tire. If you are going to the National Enduro this weekend for Sumter, check out the Millville 2, and if that's one thing maybe you can't get a hold of, or you choose, I want a little bit more sand, obviously the Southwick 2 would be another good choice to run at Sumter, but it's not all sand, even though it's sandy, kind of piney woods.
Right.
So to think about that
little bit of
intermediate terrain to sand that
clay.
they're going to have there. Of course, with SRT, we got to see Corey Gerfunder fourth at King of the Motos. What the?
Dude,
Now
he did
it's
it
just
again.
happening. You know what it's from? It's from Out Cold. And the first movie I ever saw Zach Galifianakis in with Jeremy something or other, it is old. Do you know what
Beer
I'm
in
talking
their
about?
mouth.
Yes.
Shred
King of the
down.
Mountain.
Yeah. Wonderful movie. Yeah. I'd try to watch it before I go on my ski trips. I haven't gotten a chance to in a while, but yeah, no.
I try to watch it every morning.
We're like,
Just wake up and watch
show my friends, like, all right, this is what our ski trip's going to be like.
Yeah, we're going to poach the mountain, drink a bunch of beer, and hopefully make it to the bottom.
The hot tub scene. All right, we got to get back on. We got to get back on
Dirt
track.
bike show. Dirt bike show.
All right, talking about
Whatever,
movies over here.
All right. Well, cool. Well, so that's kind of like the Dirt Buzz. And obviously, thank you very much to our friends over at Dirt Buzz, at dirtbuzz.com. You can get that. It's a good way for us to kind of bring all of the local or all of the national news that's kind of been going on in the off-road world to you guys. Let's go ahead and get Evan Smith called in. But before we go ahead and totally jump to that, what we're going to do is talk about the Seat Time t-shirts that we do have out right now. So, have you seen them?
I caught a glimpse of
Scary
it. I was asking you
skeleton
about
that
it.
you heard
Yeah,
about?
it's like
What'd you think?
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
Does he lie like that to you? I mean, is that kind of like what you see?
she's like, babe, what do you think about this person? It's amazing.
Southeast Cross Country Association.
Oh, there it is. There's the quick correction.
Somebody used Google.
The internet trollers is what
Yeah,
it
right.
is,
It
man.
So you could go to seattime.co/skeleton, and what you're doing there is you're not just like buying some money, you're helping out support Seat Time. So that is very important because yes, we do have sponsors and we do get a little bit of financial helping from them, but in the long run we have a lot more goals that we want to accomplish, and with that we can't actually do these kinds of things. So please go to the site, grab yourself one or two of the skeleton t-shirts that we've put out, and you can only do it this week. That's kind of like why it's a big deal, because we don't need to have stock of all these t-shirts and hang on to them forever. We got them on sale for 7 days. You order one of the t-shirts, and we're going to ship them to you after they come back from the printer. It's like Bob's your uncle.
Cool beans, man.
Maybe we'll probably ship you some koozies too, because we just like, beer. and you should like koozies because they hold beer. Yeah? Seattime.co/skeleton. All right, so so I can be able to hear everybody that's going on, I'm going to put this thing back in. All right, ladies, over there on the East Coast somewhere, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, Drew.
What's up,
How's
dude?
it going, Mr. Drew Higgins?
Long time no see.
I know, right? Dude, you actually look older. Are you 18?
19.
19. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Holy shit. I think your balls finally dropped there. Your voice sounds a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Case in point. Case in point. Well, okay, so let's talk about how this evening came to fruition for you guys being on the show. I knew that I wanted to talk National Enduro. The National Enduro is going to start this weekend. Sumter, they've made quite a few changes. I wanted to talk to some people that would be affected by those changes. And so I asked Russell Bobbitt who he thought would be a good candidate for that. He mentioned Evan Smith. And it's funny because I had been texting Drew all day.
Right.
But I'm not going to lie, the last time Drew was on, he said 5 words. So I was like, Drew might not talk the whole time, so I'm going to look at Evan Smith, and then he's like, oh yeah, well, Drew's here too, so Drew's come on. I was like, all right, if Drew says 5 words and you say 15, we can make this work. Like, we can have a show with this. So this is what got us here halfway through episode 195. So you think Drew Higgins is fast?
Oh, yeah.
You think Evan
Drew,
Smith is fast?
I don't know Evan real well. Nice to meet you, Evan. But
Nice to have known you.
no, yeah, Drew's been up and coming in the series, and last year he got really fast because all he does is ride at McManaman's or the farm. Lucky dog. Some of us have to work, and so now you're living the dream and hanging out on the East Coast. So we're all proud of you. So
Heck yeah! And then so like it's interesting is this Evan Smith relationship. I kind of want to learn a lot more about this. So we're gonna get to that in a second. So let's talk National Enduro before we talk about your bromance that you've got going there on the East Coast. You've like run away to Brokeback, but hey, we're not here to judge. We're here to discuss. So one of the big changes for this year, and we've seen quite a few in the past couple of years, and I'm okay with these. It's good to kind of change it up and see how it affects the series. When we saw with the whole number changing thing and wherever you finish, you've got a place and blah, 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 works good. So the pros are now moving to the 30s, into the row 30.
Oh.
So the number 1 pro will start on row 31 instead of 21, and the gentlemen
did not know about
Drew
that.
and Evan, who were AA last year, the AA guys will now start at 21.
kind of staying in the same place you were last year.
Right,
Yeah.
so there's a lot going on here. Now, guys, I kind of, before we just totally dive in and kind of give you some of our thoughts on this, what are your opinions? Because you guys have been the guys that were in the 20s with the pros, probably getting passed every now and again, but in the long run, it's probably too many fast people, like, bunched up together. So, thoughts? Good, bad, or indifferent, or whoever wants to talk first.
I think it's good. I mean, if you get... last year, if you were... I don't know if you got a 11th or 1st in the AA class, you were on like 31 or something.
Right.
And then you're with the 11th place pro. So if it's a little bit dusty, you're about the same speed. So that's my main concern. Not necessarily getting passed all the time. That's not too bad. But I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
So you think this is better than what they're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, the first place pros will be catching the 10th place AA rider, so that's just going to be like another rider almost. Not going to be as close in speed as the first place AA to the first place pro. Kind of get it.
I liked your comment
gotcha.
about the first place AA guy, 31, being there with the 11th place pro. That is one thing I didn't think of. And that at that point, yeah, it's kind of like they're probably going to be pretty close to that same kind of speed. So to put AA guys in front kind of like does make sense to that regard. I like that. All right, Evan, what are your thoughts?
I kind of thought it was, with dust it didn't help, but I thought it was almost an advantage for AA riders to be placed with a pro at that row, because, I mean, that puts you with somebody you can chase, and then the rest of the AA guys that may be 10 or 15 rows back didn't have that. And, as it was good for the guys that were getting top 5 in AA, it wasn't necessarily good for anybody else. And being on 21 and up, it'll be cool to not get passed by all the pros, because I don't know about anybody else, but I never liked that.
It sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it makes you
sucks.
feel slow.
It sucks. I always like riding in the 20s, and so it's like, F it. Any national enduro I do, I know I'm just going to be getting passed. Because I like the terrain in the 20s. It's just what I like. So I'm like, okay, well, every 45 seconds, somebody's going to be railing up my ass.
Well, yeah, that was actually my next question. Like, any thoughts, like, on what this is, on where you like to be row-wise and where you're going to end up being? Like, I guess you'll, be just a little bit further back. Like, is that good, or what do y'all's thoughts on that?
Personally, I think I'll end up being 43A for the first race. That's kind of like perfect. And most of the other pro riders, I mean, they all kind of like to be further back. And it was almost a disadvantage for Caleb or whoever was on 21 last year, just because it was so early. They didn't have any lines or beat-in trail or anything. And now it'll kind of be a little more level for everybody.
Yeah, there'll be a ton of insides that they don't really see 11 rows in front. Just like this past weekend. I mean, there was insides every other lap. So just picture that every test. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it adds.
and is that part of the reason why they moved the pros back? It's tough because that's just going to happen anywhere. Like, we know that, like, and call it inside lines, cheater lines, however that kind of is. Like, that just happens in these tight single track situations when you start to see that kind of line. Because in reality, you're racing arrow to arrow. You don't have, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to follow the trail. Just like in GNCC, you race the ribbon, right? And so moving the pros back to the 30s gives them a little bit better trail. It's a little bit more broken in, right? And they've got the fast guys like the double A's, who obviously at this point are no slouches. Like, you would be in that double A class. You guys are awesome. You're going to make pretty good marks, pretty good setup trail for all these guys. So now that these guys in the 30s are going to have the pros being the 30s are going to have these better tracks laid out, are the 40s going to be just like clapped out? Or they, like you say in the 43, like, is like at that point are we going to start seeing like, and are cheater lines just going to be like ridiculous because they're going to have the inside lines being done in the 20s and the 30s?
I don't know.
Or does it just happen all the time and it doesn't really matter? What do you think?
I don't know. It doesn't happen. Not all the time. And it's just like little insides. I mean, they're not nothing. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Not huge margins. But, I don't know. What's your point?
I mean, the way enduro racing is, I mean, it's not going to be fair really for anybody, because you never know who might be 2 rows ahead of you that is making killer lines that's a pro 5 rows ahead doesn't see, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it just, it's just going to shake out however it does.
Yeah. And I think that this is why moving the pros to the 30s makes sense, is because there were times when you saw somebody that had a bad race or just had a crash or whatever, and they were in the 20s, but then because of the rule where you finish is what row you're on, maybe they finished 13th or whatever, so then they're on 33. You saw them in the next round have awesome lap times, but because, they had 10 rows of guys go through there with all the pros, so then the hot lines, if you will, all the inside lines start to get marked, so then these guys in the 30s are seeing those riding them doing really good. And I think they noticed that, and that's part of another reason why it'll be good to see kind of if it, to Evan's point, kind of evens out. It's tough because there really is no way to even it out. Every time one rider goes through there, technically it's different. So
right. it's almost a wash because every track's gonna be different. Now I'm not like, I've probably only done like probably 10 enduros in my life. But
not
like,
enough. That's all.
Yeah, I know. It's scary going fast where you haven't been. Sorry, that's my opinion.
Balls.
Anyways,
sometimes you just gotta have balls.
Dude, come on. It isn't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like, every track's gonna be different.
You're wrong.
Everything's gonna. There's
correct
so
him.
many variables. Like,
Drew, correct him.
He's kind of right. I don't know. They're all different. I mean, it's going to be evened out. If you do good one race, well, if you do good the next race, it's because I guess you belong up there. I don't know.
Well, okay, like the reason I say that, it was like, okay, race in West Texas, yeah, there's gonna be awesome lines that develop later on. Go to Nacogdoches, go race in the sand. Well, nobody's cutting on the inside of like trees. They're going to follow the main track, and then so if it gets rough so fast, so it's like, okay, maybe it's better to be earlier there, and then be later in like West Texas. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just like it's hard to say for each and every.
And that's why
place.
they originally changed it to where if you finished first, you're on 21. If you finished third, you're on 23 because you didn't get the pick. It
Right.
was the
set
fastest
stone.
guys as cohesively put together as possible, so that they could have as close to the same track as possible. You know, they may have only 5 or 10 guys between them to create differences in the track,
Right.
to make it a little bit more fair. So for 2016, both of you guys are on the RPM FMF KTM team. How did this come about? Drew, you did really good last year on Watsy's team. Evan, I don't know what team you were on, but now you guys are together. You're teammates. You're broing up and bunking down. What's up?
I mean, I just kind of hit up the owner, and we went from there back in October. Got everything lined out. The kind of the end of November. Finally got something signed, but that's just kind of how it was. I mean, Watsy was closing the doors, so I was looking for something else, pretty much.
And I was on my own last year. I didn't have a ride. I just had individual sponsors and stuff. And I kind of, I hit up the owner the same way and helped my graphics guy. HPD Graphics is affiliated with him, so he helped me, get in touch better. And actually didn't know that Drew was part of the team until after I had become part of the team. So that was kind of like a happy accident, you might say.
Right? Now you guys are like, hey, is this my jersey or is this your jersey? And you're like, I don't know. What's the back say? You're like, stop it. I'm not looking. It's like, it's so awkward.
That's exactly how it happened.
Mug shots today.
Sweet. How did that go? Did you what is it? Did you throw cool whips? What do the kids say these days?
I was just staying in front of our van.
Oh. So do you guys have like a RPM FMF van, or is it like creeper, like sprinter status?
Well, Drew's rolling in a Benz, so I mean.
Hey, they're both bins.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're okay. Nice. All right, dude.
Well, that's just
You
because
bring
it's the Mercedes
so many-
Sprinter. It's not like he's like
Dude, look.
every Sprinter,
Look.
whether it's Dodge, that International, or a Mercedes.
Okay,
They're all
okay,
expensive.
Okay, so a motorcycle rider knows that, yeah, but to the chicks that they're
Oh.
bringing home
Oh.
to their party castle, you just look at that logo on the
Oh,
front, and they're
to
just
their
like,
party
y'all both
van,
have Benzes?
not party castle, to their driving creeper mobile.
Dude, it's not a creeper mobile.
I know,
because
because I got one in the back with the little AC unit.
Dude, look, my 1999 Econoline E150 was a creeper van. They're in Benzes. It's a difference.
Your girlfriend's over there shaking her head. She's like, yes, it was. I met him afterwards, thank God.
Hey, Caleb, did you get those motor mounts? Motor bolt?
Dude, shut up, man. I didn't Loctite them.
Uh-oh, what is he talking about? What happened, Mr. Fur?
Oh, man, I built a motor, put it in there, and in the last race I saw Drew at, motor mounts backed off. I just didn't Loctite them. I mean, I torqued them, but I just didn't Loctite them. So it's like, man.
Like, while
But
you
yes,
were
I did
racing?
get a set. Yeah, they came out, and things were feeling weird, and so it's
will.
just like, all right.
Whoops.
Stop real fast.
Well,
and-
let's tighten those up.
yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, exactly.
That sucks.
It was a bad weekend. I mean, you gotta put some time into a bike. Like once you do a motor, and I didn't. I just went straight to the race. Didn't practice nothing. Just straight to the race. And you gotta make sure everything's good.
Gotta lock tight your shits.
I was coming for you, Drew. I was on my way.
Yeah, Drew, watch out.
Coming for you.
One day he'll remember to do everything and actually have a bike that works by the end of it.
Hey man, I got an office job. I got time to work my bike now. Oh yeah,
Like-
Drew, I got out of the truck, dude.
You did? What-
Yeah.
Did it start already?
Yeah, I started Monday. Sending emails for a living, man.
You mean yesterday?
Is that better?
Yeah, yesterday. Dude, it is. Because nobody cuts you off or flips you off in an email. They can't do it. It's impossible.
And if they can, there's paper trails.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to send this to your boss, bitch.
Yeah. Way to bring down the heat. Way to bring in the heat. Uh-oh, Impound made it. Who's Impound? We talked about this before. We talked about Impound in the chat room. Yeah, I don't know either. Let's say, what you got, buddy? What you got, buddy? I don't have to type all that. So, Drew and Evan, you guys are heading to Sumter this weekend. Evan, you said you're on 43. Drew, that means you're what? Probably like 39 or 40?
40.
40? All right. So, thoughts going into the weekend?
I'm pretty pumped. I'm really excited. The conditions are sick over here, and I feel 110% prepared. I'm ready to go get maybe a podium.
Nice.
Isn't there some rain headed y'all's way, though?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like pouring down rain tonight, which means it'll be mint come Sunday.
Okay, very nice.
That's true.
Very
'Cause,
nice. Forget what day it is. So, yeah, I know that's Kayla, right? Winter Storm Kayla coming through or something like that. No. This is a whole nother system.
Do I look
Sorry.
like a weatherman? I have no idea what's going on.
I'm all about the weather, man, but I don't really look east, you know what I mean?
Caleb just doesn't look, period. He's just like,
Dream of coffee before I go to work, read the newspaper, watch the weather. I'm not that old, y'all know that.
wow. It's getting weird. Ah!
Well, we are going to go talk about Supercross in a minute, but Drew, while I have you on, I wanted to ask what your thoughts were on the race last weekend.
My thoughts were good. It was at the start of the race, there was like 40 of us on the line, so it was kind of nerve-wracking. Like, got to get a good start. Ended up somehow getting the whole shot. Got passed by Jesse Grome, and then kind of a train him coming by me for a while. Felt like a sea rider, and then me and Evan linked up and started riding together, and it went good from there. Kind of got my arm pump out of the way.
How'd you end up?
Fourth.
Very solid. Very nice. Wait, you're still battling with arm pump?
Well, whenever you have like Russell Ball behind you, I was getting a little pumped up.
Okay. That wasn't a stab or anything, but I just know you ride so much is the only reason. But no, okay. Yeah, I got you. You got a heavy hitter behind you, for sure. Man, so that's a pretty stacked race then.
Oh, dude, yeah, there was and that's what's so cool about that hair scramble is that it always seems to kind of be the one that people use to flush out those kind of last minute bugs and quirks and stuff like that. So for Drew and Evan to have gone that event with, the caliber of riders that were there and do as well as they did, I mean, that says a lot, like of how prepared they are right now, ready going into Sumter this coming weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice.
And Evan, you got called out in the chat room by Shootin' Wootin', and he said that your van is actually a Dodge with a Benz grill.
Oh, dude. Burn.
Don't listen to Wooten.
Don't listen to Wooten, he says. Don't listen to Wooten. And yes, everybody, for some of the pictures that you've seen that we've shown throughout the show, of course, those were done by people out there that are way better photographers than us. And the one you did see of Grant Baylor was done by Mr. Shootin' Wooten in the chat room and on the internet. So feel free to go like him, follow him, and don't steal his pictures. We just used him in the show. That seemed good. I think that was good.
Yeah, that was all right.
Made up for it. It was like a good cup on the butt. You're like, good job, good game.
Oh,
good
we don't play baseball in here.
Good game. We don't play. Okay, no baseball. So Evan, you're ready. You're ready to rock and roll. You're on 43. You think you're gonna catch Drew?
I hope not.
I don't know if I'm that optimistic, but that'd be cool. That'd be cool to see.
Yep. Well, Drew, you're on 40. You're like 10 rows back because you were in 10th last year. What do you think about going into this year? I mean, do you guys? And then let's start with Drew. What are your goals for the year? And then So Drew, answer it up, and then we want to hear from Evan too.
My goals are to get top 10 every race, be consistent, get a top 5, and then maybe get a podium. See how the year goes. Top 10 would be my goal. Pushing the top, I don't know, 5, 6 is what I'm shooting for.
Epic. Evan, Mr. Evan.
I'd like to see top 5 to 7 finishes at least every race. Maybe a top 5 season end, I guess, standings, and I would be pumped to see a podium. I'll definitely be working hard to get there.
Right? That's awesome, man. Well, dude, the way you guys have been riding last year, with the way that you guys did so well in the AA class, kind of getting into the top 10 every now and again, and then coming into this year, what you showcased at the Burnt Gin, I think you guys are going to be doing pretty good. I think the biggest thing is don't freak yourself out. Go in there and do, don't let it get to your head that you're kind of in that you're in the pro class, blah, blah, blah. Like,
It's going to be babes in the pits
Nope.
just coming at you.
It's
You just
an-
got to say no.
it's an enduro.
No.
It's not going to happen. All the babes are taken because they're with some other guy and they got his sandwich, not yours. Okay, so don't get stupid. Just have fun with it. That's the biggest thing. Is remember, like, what got you to where you are is the fact that you've been having fun riding your dirt bike. So don't go out there and think that now that you're in the pro class, it's a job, because it's not yet. It's still fun, and just do that. Just have fun with it. If nothing else, Drew's voice got deeper, and that just makes me tickle pink, and I'm gonna just go to sleep happy this evening. So.
All right.
Was that good? I mean, I feel like that was a pretty good pep talk.
All right, here's my pep
Oh,
talk.
Caleb's pep talk.
Drew,
He's gonna go.
Yep.
Brap!
I'm meaning to tell you this. You're out east, all right, living the dream.
I thought he said you're
Chasing
outie, like his belly button or something.
Just let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. All right, you're living the dream, okay? You're racing. Finally made it, AA. Or actually, no, that's pro. Sorry, that I get mixed up. Anyways, you need to learn how to throw some whips, man. I think that's going to get you on the podium, because you cannot throw a whip right now, and everybody else that's top 5 in the pro class can throw whips. So you need to work on that.
Motocross tracks.
What?
We don't ride on motocross tracks out here.
Look,
There
dude, you
aren't,
might come up
George.
on a hill and you might need to scrub it, man. It's going to happen.
We rode some haggard out sand whoops today.
Did you scrub any?
A little bit. There was like a little taking off the berm jump.
All right, man.
Dude, if you didn't Instagram
job,
it,
you're
it didn't
working on
happen.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
and you need to up your Instagram game,
Yeah.
too, bro.
You gotta up the Instagram game. You gotta be
You
social,
really
bro.
do. Be like,
The
me and
ladies are gonna be like, "Woo!"
like me and the bro working out, and y'all be like all sweaty in front of your vans, like stuff like that. That's
Whatever
gonna
you
get,
do, don't do that.
Look, your sponsors want you to be recognized, and you need to have followers, so you gotta up it. I believe in you.
Yep. Let's listen to Mr. Caleb Ramsay.
What, man? I got like.
Don't
couple
take it
hundred.
serious. Have fun and be
Dude,
safe this weekend.
Do what?
Is there any races at home?
Yeah, I'm going down to the Torques race down south. Go hang out with the bros down south. They're really cool. Won that. Got that going for me, which is nice. Oh, not like a big deal, but also, sorry. I'm approaching 100 wins. I'm at 98 right now.
Just period, or like a certain series.
Pro,
Or?
no, of all series, local pro wins. So I'm like the Chad. I feel like the Chad Reed of the sport, and that is appropriate because I'm the real CR22.
God damn. How do you accomplish throwing yourself under the bus so well?
What, dude? I'm not throwing myself over the bus, man.
You're Chad Reed, y'all's Instagram the same thing?
Dude, okay. No, he's okay. He's CR22 and I'm the 22, which is a bunch of bull crap. I should have got there first.
But you
I was
did.
a little late to the Instagram game. But yeah, no, very, very close. Very, very close, though.
Let's put the real 22.
The real 22.
Too late now.
Now, I got to keep it simple for all the fans out there, just like it's easy to remember,
His girlfriend is just shaking his head. Her
Chad
head.
Reed, man.
Her head.
Yeah.
I don't know what goes on. It could be a whatever. We'll just go with it. All right. Drew and Evan, thank you very much for coming on Seat Time. Good luck this weekend at
Bye,
Sumter.
Drew.
You guys have fun and kick ass
sir.
for the RPM FMF KTM team, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right. Thanks for being sexy, Drew.
So
That voice, loving it. You're gonna have to call me instead of text me now, so I could just like be like, I'm going to sleep. Just talk to me, buddy. And it'd be epic. I love it. So much more of a man than I am because I got this like high pitched, whiny ass voice, and it's pretty pathetic.
All right, you guys don't party too hard with the ladies now. All right.
All the toothless wonders out there in Georgia.
It'll be a struggle.
I can only imagine.
The struggle is real.
All right, dude. You have fun. Thanks again.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
All right. Now, you said you wanted to talk a little about Supercross, so we got a couple more minutes here. So let's talk about Supercross before we finish out this show.
So important.
Okay, I'm fine. Let's do it.
Going straight into it. Okay.
Wait, Steven. Opener for beer. Go.
Straight into it. What is a gas cap vapor lock?
Really?
Like,
Okay. Well, you do know why you have a vent hose.
okay,
right?
yeah, no, I totally get that. But, however, I don't see how a lack of fuel can cause blue smoke. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
I didn't
That's what
see
I'm saying.
blue smoke. I
You
saw
didn't
the
see him
smoke.
kicking that thing?
I saw
blue.
this. I wasn't on mushrooms either while I was watching the Supercross.
Burning Earl.
What oil?
I mean, if it's blue smoke, then it's got to be burning some kind of oil, you know? That's like thinking like a ring problem or something like that. You know what I mean, like some kind of motor issue. It just doesn't make sense for me. Like, if I didn't see a huge fume of blue smoke, I'd be like, okay, yeah, vapor lock, whatever. But I'm like, come on now, like.
So it makes you think oil.
Like, it makes me think some kind of motor issue, and they're just covering it up with, gas cap.
Well,
I don't know, call me crazy.
he would have to think on his feet about that, though, because he still had his helmet on, right? When Jenny Taft was talking to him.
But
he was
he's
talking about the
like,
Vapor Lab.
Oh, wait, Loretta Lynn's, you know.
I'm a 65, yeah.
I'm a 65. Like, oh, thanks for the history lesson. Like, I don't know, like, how can you diagnose something like that quick? I mean, and they said they popped it and it started back up. I don't know, call me crazy. But I just, like, the blue smoke was like, hey, red flag. Like, it just seems like he was having some kind of other issue, some kind of weird issue, you know? Because
Right.
those blacks are not human. I mean,
Nope.
whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
They're
they're
not
like
normal?
they're like there's not a factory part in there, you know what I mean? So it's just, I'm sorry, not a stock part in there. So, like, I don't know, just I got a conspiracy theory going
I
on.
like it. I like it. So what do you think happened?
I don't know, some
Just-
kind of technical
Malfunction?
I don't know, something. I don't know. Yeah.
This is your big story?
Yeah, dude, I mean, I thought, like, you would have some more input on this, and you're just looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, no, it's vapor lock.
I'll be honest. When I was watching it, I kind of, like, definitely rewound it a couple times, and then they rewound it a couple times and watched it and stuff. I didn't see the blue smoke, but, again, I wasn't looking for it. Now that you mention it, I'm going to want to go back and watch for it and to kind of see if I noticed a color to the smoke.
Haley, you're watching it. Call me crazy or not. Was there blue smoke?
See, you want to rewatch
She
it.
said a little. She said a little.
That's because she's your girlfriend.
She's caught off guard. She's like, oh, we can't do a dirt bike interview.
But at the same time, as we all know, I'm definitely not the mechanic. So,
Right.
you know, if somebody were to say, hey, there's blue smoke, what do you think that is? Going to be like, a problem? You know,
problem?
like, so.
Yeah, that's true. So,
But I mean, I know you know what you're doing on a motorcycle. So if it was blue smoke and it's something that could be an oil thing, then yes, absolutely. The little knowledge I do have, yes, then that obviously would be much more of an issue than just some form of vapor lock. Now, the thing is when something were to vapor lock, when the bike were to vapor lock, it would act as if it had run out of gas.
right.
Right? Because of the airflow. I mean, there's just nothing. So when it would try to suck, it can't because it doesn't have anything to push,
So,
doesn't
yeah,
have air to push it through. The smoke itself that kind of poured out those couple times as he was kicking it and stuff like that, thinking about it, isn't something that I have seen too normal when a bike runs out of gas.
Yeah, it's like
Because I've I've had
exactly.
those times where I've been on my KTM and I've had it on regular, the
valve,
the petcock on regular before or instead of reserve and then stuff like that. Like now, granted, I'm on the bike kicking it, and I've seen, but I don't think of that as being a normal occurrence for when a bike is out of fuel.
I don't know. No, I need to do some more research, but I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. I'm sitting there like, oh, his bike blew up, and then he's still riding, and he's like, oh, vapor lock.
There was blue smoke.
Confirmed.
But
yeah, there's I don't know. It's a weird deal. Yeah. Hey, Haley, who was that got second? It's that local dude. That was a really good ride from. I can't think of his name. I just went mind blank.
Colt Nichols?
Yes,
From
Nichols.
Oklahoma.
Yes. He actually
did really good.
Yeah, he did really good. He plays a mean wiffle ball. We actually met him this summer at the Greens. Mean wiffle ball.
Really?
Yeah, hanging out.
Can I go to the Greens?
Hey, dude, it's legit.
No, really.
Full soccer field, wiffle ball.
I'm not kidding. I want to go.
Grilling.
I'd love to be there.
But anyways, I met him out there, and he's a very cool dude. And then so that was like really cool to see him up on his best finish ever. So that was very cool.
And this is one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, and I didn't know if we were going to get to it. And I figured since we're on Supercross, we might as well talk about this a little bit. Is this morning, for those of you that may not follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/seattimes, an easy way to get to it if you don't. So please go like us there. But this morning I posted from Swizz Corner, Pulp MX, Swizz Core, one of his little fans or followers or whatever, posted up a little blog post. Yeah, and it's titled "Ignorant or Stupid." And honestly, this is kind of one of those big call-outs on all the keyboard warriors out there who just saw Stewart pull off on lap 9 in Oakland and kind of just flip their shit, call him out, blah, blah, blah.
Typical Stewart,
all this kinds of stuff. And I think that this is though a lot of the stuff Pulp MX does and Steve Matheson stuff probably is not extremely well put together nor grammatically correct, I did feel that this was actually still a good piece of editorial writing. I'm not going to go show it to my mom to check it as an English teacher or any of that kind of shit, but the premise behind it is awesome because of the fact that it's pretty much saying, guys, don't be stupid. He did just have a huge head injury 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is more than a concussion. I mean, this is I would say more than concussion. It was a concussion, but this is kind of aftermath. Like, there's more going on here. And he's not the only person, too, that stuff like this has happened. You know, every concussion's different, and different parts of it. I mean, brain's a pretty crazy thing.
And I think that the brain is probably the one thing that we know the least about, and it's probably it's obviously the most important part for us. Besides, it keeps everything else going, but it's so fragile at the same time with everything else that's going on.
It's not like any other organ where you damage it and you have a consistent, you diagnose it and have a consistent recovery or whatever else. There's so much more going on here, and Stewart, last 2 years have been really bad for him, but Homeboy's not going to pull off the track unless he needs to pull off the track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what has happened in the last 2 years.
So when I posted this up, though, I asked for thoughts. And that was the biggest thing. It's like I kind of wanted to just see it because I thought that this was a good read, and I kind of wanted to know what other people thought about it. And there was a couple good ones that I got. Katie Sutherland is actually Gary Sutherland's mom. Her comment was, head injuries do take a long time to sort themselves out. I just don't understand. Did he not practice this week and have any indication?
A lot of people were thinking the same thing, and this is a good point.
I like this reaction. This response to hers was, there's a big difference in heart rate practicing on a familiar track and racing the best in the world on a new track. The only way to know is to try. I'm happy to see him listening to his body. I just hope he recovers.
That's a very good point. That's exactly right.
It's like, honestly, he probably was practicing. He probably was on the bike. Absolutely. He was doing all those kinds of things.
Like, okay,
but
I'm good.
Yeah, but that's why it's practice. Because it's practice. It's not the race. And it's just one of those situations where we don't know the brain enough to know what kind of situations we're putting ourselves in. So when he gets out there and he's pushing it 110%.
Your blood pressure.
Yeah.
You're going to have more blood pressure whenever you're railing again in Supercross than you are railing your Supercross track at home.
Yep.
It's just that somebody's behind you, you know, got to catch a guy in front of you thing. And that's gonna raise it that many more points, and that's gonna do more things in your head.
Yep. Another one from
Great.
Amanda Campbell talking about the protocol testing that goes on. So obviously, you know, when he had this wreck with the T-bone that happened with Dungey at A1, you know, okay, well, shit, dude's knocked out. They know that they're doing baseline
Right.
testing for what is going on with a concussion and all that kinds of stuff.
Is there?
So
Is Asterisk doing anything?
Yeah, so what
what's
Asterisk
their-
does is before the season starts, they do a baseline test. So, and this is just a series of questions that kind of to gauge how quick and how well and how, to a degree, you as a person respond to their questions when your brain is normal, unconcussed, right? So that way, when you are concussed, and there are potential issues with how fast or how quickly or how correct
That's something
your
referred
brain
to.
is firing. Yes, that they can ask these questions and or do these physical tests again and compare it to your baseline that they did at the beginning of the year and know that you're off where you should be. And
Makes
then
sense.
they can make a professional judgment on whether you can or cannot race, where they think you might be too concussed still or any to that degree. So, you know, it's one of those deals where she's talking about protocol, that kinds of stuff, or does that mean that protocol should be tough, more tough? Is it not good enough and all that kinds of stuff? And I think it goes back into the fact that we just don't know enough about the human brain and about how the human body functions. I mean, it's just to go out there and race and then to realize that you've got blurry vision going as fast as you can, jumping 60, 70, 80-foot triples and around 20 other guys, like, fuck yeah, you pull off.
I mean, that's
because
what I mean.
that's when
Like,
you die.
I can't think of anything to run your blood pressure higher than a Supercross start. I mean, like, for real though, like, I can't imagine anything more to like get your blood pumping. Oh,
I know.
ooh.
So apparently, what you were talking about
I
is
didn't
they
hear
actually
that.
came up on Vital MX that other people were calling it blue, and they were saying that it was raw fuel, and there's no way that raw fuel still looks like a gas, because raw fuel is the liquid.
I don't know what kind of fuel they're burning, but I haven't seen any that burnt blue.
Race gas.
I know, but still, I'm gonna go get me some
Some of that.
race.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna go to Colorado and get some of that race fuel.
Yeah, dude. I'm talking about some 111 octane. Just stick a match to it and be like, oh, okay, it's black. All right, that rules that out. I don't buy it. I don't buy blue, raw fuel burning blue. Like, no, I don't know. Anyways, did you see that pass by El Hombre on Chad
when he got
Reed?
all wickety
Clipped
whack.
his rear tire, dude. Anderson like boop, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, and he's like,
crash,
I got
I'm
it.
gonna
Tap
crash. Tap the brake, make the pass. It's like, dude, that's gnarly. But big props to Reed. He's been doing really good lately.
I
And this
know.
wasn't a great weekend for him last weekend, but he has been doing really, really well.
It's
And,
pretty nuts. I mean, honestly, like you kind of like almost have to be a Chad Reed fan. You kind of got to appreciate the fact of what he's doing and everything like that.
Well, he's a character, but yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
He's kind of like an older Dungey. He just keeps on keeping on. And I will say this, I'm pretty much a Dungey hater, like big time.
I love
Like,
KTM.
Just I'm a KTM guy, but I'm just like Dungey hater. And all you're like, oh, Dungey's the best, he's the best. Yeah, I know. But I judge people that I cheer on in motocross, supercross, based on style and based on whip and whip angle.
Whip abilities.
And whip abilities. And Dungey that's why I'm not a Dungey fan. He's just never cranks him over.
That's because he's the diesel, bro.
He's a diesel, yeah, I know. However, 2 of his last 3 wins, he's cranked one over the finish line.
So you're like are you creeping your way into like.
I'm just giving him respect,
Oh.
but still not gonna cheer for him. But I do think that's very cool.
So like
I don't know what's
when you're
something's
walking
gotten
past
into
the
him
other
this year.
softball team, you're giving them high five, still saying good game. You haven't like totally like gone onto the butt slap yet.
Well, man, I told you we're not talking about baseball in here again.
All right. Well, cool.
Whipability.
Whip abilities. So remember, guys, this is Seat Time. This has been episode 195. 195. Oh, shit, we're 5 weeks away from episode 200.
And I'm 2 races away from win 100.
Sounds like I need to get another case of beer for 5 weeks from now.
That's awesome, man.
Woo, it's going to be interesting. So, remember, we are back to our all Tuesday nights all the time. So, we'll be here 8 p.m. Central Standard Time live at seattime.co/live. Well, that's pretty easy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Can't screw that up. Of course, we are brought to you by Fly Racing at flyracing.com, Kenda Tire USA at kendatire.com, and SRT Offroad at srtoffroad.com. Oh, man. Luckily enough, it's easy.
Yeah, you don't have don't have to ride them on the pit board like Cody Webb has to and be like, oh, yeah, here's your sponsors. That was funny. I caught that
they even showed it on TV too. I was like, don't
you
show
saw
that.
it. Like, dude, come on. Like,
we all know because his
little
eyes are doing this.
hey, come on, at least memorize them, bro. Like,
Yeah, practice in the mirror or whatever.
dude.
I'm telling you, it's weird, but I've done it for shit. It's strange.
Yeah,
So we'll be back next week. It's going to be fun to talk to all the winners and maybe possibly some of the guys that didn't do too well after the National Enduro at Sumter. And some of the things that are coming up is, of course, Sumter. National Enduro kicks off this weekend. Valentine's in 2 weeks. And then Super Enduro in Argentina, February 20th, which Cody Webb did allude to a little bit earlier. Yeah, after that, seattime.co is the website. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher if you search for Seat Time. Facebook.com/SeatTime. Twitter is at SeatTime_CO. On Instagram, it's regular old at SeatTime. And, of course, YouTube is SeatTimeCO. And then after that, I'm Brian Pierce. You can find me at Woody B. Pierce on the internets.
Caleb Ramsay, a.k.a. Raylib Camsey. So, we'll see you guys
What's
next time.
you're not Chad Reed? You're at not Chad Reed?
The 22. You can follow me on Instagram. And only Instagram. I'm not on Twitter or anything else like that. I'm kind of... And it's Instagram, Facebook. So
there it is. Well, thank you very
Yes,
much. Episode 195. We'll see you again in a week.
Mic drop.
These are too expensive.